Welcome, our fellow lovers of love, and thank you for joining us on yet another excursion through the stream of consciousness down the river of tranquility to fill the lake of life with love.
Good evening, our fellow lovers of love, and we are back with you with another exciting show we've got. But before we go into that, we're going to talk about Veterans Day. And, as our complimentary veteran, you're not a complimentary veteran, you're a resident veteran. There we go. As our resident
veteran,
as our resident veteran, our representative veteran, we want to thank you for all the, you get to represent all the veterans in the past, present, and future here.
Well, I served peacetime only. I was not deployed. I was a helicopter weapon systems repair. I was a gun bunny. And served a couple of years.
Well, what I have found is all veterans try to, most veterans undersell their service. And, whatever the reasons people decide to sign their life away for a couple of years, that's exactly what you're doing. When you sign, you're signing your life away.
Do.
You're signing.
And you're up there. You got your hand up. You're taking the oath. You're shaking.
Yeah, it's
because you know what you're doing. You're putting your life on the line. You're handing it over.
Yeah, willingly saying, no, my life is not my own for the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Some people make a career out of it. And, that's whatever you feel about, the role our government asked our soldiers to play. These soldiers make a commitment to something larger than themselves, something, and that should be honored. Don't let the politicians blind you to the service that these young men and women have put in, because they really have dedicated their lives to something other than themselves, and that should be honored. And so we thank them here, and thank you. And, to Justin out there, if you see this, we thank you too. And to all of you, we thank you for everything you have done for yourselves, your community, your country, and, in cases, civilization. So in short, that's kind of what the first half of the show is about. And then the second half of the show is our normal, routine questions from Reddit. And one of these days, we're going to do something with our own subreddit. We have one now. We just haven't done anything with it. And you can always find past content at latenightLove.us. You can send us letters and whatnot to be part of the show. That's love@latenightLove.us, or just post your questions and whatnot in the comments, and we will eventually get to them, even though we are sometimes a little slow. Okay, so what did you want to start with tonight, my love?
Well, we're going to start with some facts about Veterans Day.
All righty.
And to start off with, it is Veterans Day without an apostrophe. Veterans don't own the holiday. It is a day to honor them.
A distinction without a difference, but okay. Armistice Day was the original name of Veterans Day. It was the end of the World War I.
The first anniversary, yes.
Yeah. The 11th month of the 11th day of the 11th hour.
In 1918 is when it started.
Yeah, it actually didn't represent the end of the war. It's just, everything had to wind down. Because remember, in that time, it still could take months to get messages to, forces halfway across the world. And so you still had people fighting even though the war was over. So, and then, all these little conflicts, the Ottoman Empire fell at the end of World War I. So we're still suffering the consequences of that to this day. Sadly. Okay. Originally, Veterans Day was not intended to take place every year. It was not until 1926 that it should be a yearly occurrence. How many of these do you want to go through? Just
President Dwight D. Eisenhower was, we'll just pick and choose, responsible for the name change. He did that in 1954.
Yeah, and it was 1938 when it became a nationwide holiday, by the way, as Armistice Day, and then they changed it in 1954.
Some people wanted it to be known as Mayflower Day
Mayflower Day.
because it's the same day the Pilgrims signed the Mayflower Compact.
Well, you can always celebrate that day as well, I suppose. Veterans Day was not always celebrated on November 11th. Put forth the Uniform Holidays Act in 1968, which specified that the holiday would be observed every October on the fourth Monday. That was till 1971. And then 4 years later, he undid the move by signing a law to return the holiday back to November. Tells you how the swings of political winds go, right? Yeah, no, we're going to change that. That was dumb. We're changing it back. People are mad. And again, if we're talking about Veterans Day versus Veterans Day observed, some of us got yesterday off because we, the organizations we work for observe the holiday, or in my case, the place where we work observe the holiday, so we get to observe the holiday. It's not so much that our organization observed the holiday; it's that the building's closed. What are you going to do? I've got keys and a keypad on the code. I suppose I could still have gone to work. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Schools may or may not close for Veterans Day. Local policies and decisions can, make that. Unless a store's open, some close. It really kind of depends upon the store, the culture of the community, and whatnot.
It really does.
I mean, if you live in a government, if you have a restaurant or something in a big government area, and all the government workers are going to be home that day, you might as well close. You're just going to be sitting there doing nothing all day. So it may depend. But then again, if you're at a mall, and it's normally quiet during the day, guess what, sunshine? You're probably likely going to have a busier day than normal. So these things are just the way it is. Veterans Day and Memorial Day are different, they say?
Yes. Memorial Day is celebrated in honor of those soldiers who died in the line of duty.
Yeah, so Memorial Day is a more distinct group. It's a smaller group of soldiers, and Veterans Day honors anybody who served, whether in peacetime, wartime, living, passed away, honorable, or maybe not so honorable service. Let's see what else we got here. It's different than Armed Forces Day, which no one pays any attention to Armed Forces Day except people in the military.
June 12th is a day that credits women. It's Women's Armed Services Integration Act anniversary.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That probably should be more pronounced, but we'll have to put that on the calendar next year.
Put that on the calendar, yeah.
Yeah. President Ronald Reagan held a commemorative ceremony called the National Atomic Veterans Day. Recognized veterans, soldiers who worked near Nagasaki or Hiroshima, cleaning up and testing. Okay, so in 2021, Biden observed it again. So there's that.
Isn't it Hiroshima or is it Hiroshima?
You're asking the wrong person, so I'm just moving on. Like I can pronounce another language word.
More than 400,000 veterans and veteran families are buried in the Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. The cemetery spans 624 acres.
For your dog lovers out there, there's a day that honors the canines that served in the military forces throughout the years. March 13th, known as National Canine Veterans Day. So for you dog lovers out there,
We'll
you'd be.
put that on the calendar too.
And let's see what we got.
As of 2020, there were more than 1 million veterans who served in the Korean War.
Okay, so which one do you want?
37.
Okay. Hey, women account for about 10% of veterans who are still alive. It's pretty good. 9 million veterans served in the war. Yeah, well, that's right. You said that one, didn't you? 7.4 million veterans served during the Gulf War. The Census Bureau said that in 2016, only 7% of adults were veterans compared to 18% of adult veterans who were alive in 1980. But that has a lot more to do with Vietnam, Korea, and World War II. A lot of those were still alive. And many of those have passed now. And while we've had conflicts, they've been smaller in scale.
Only 7% of adults were veterans. That was in 2016, compared with 18% who were alive in 1980.
By 2045, around 12 million adults will be veterans. And the amount of female veterans are expected to double. So there's that.
Yeah, it opened up about 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, no. How old was I? I was 17 when I enlisted. That was 40-some years ago.
The National Coalition for Homeless Veterans concluded that over 40,000 veterans have no homes, comprising 11% or nearly 11% of the unhoused adult population. Younger veterans are more likely to be homeless, along with Vietnam War era veterans. And then the Vietnam veterans who are homeless. And imagine that the peacetime veterans managed to do okay, but the wartime veterans are struggling. That's
Oh, yes.
yeah. Mental illness in veterans is off the charts, which makes sense. 1/5 of Iraq or Afghanistan war veterans suffered from post-traumatic stress or major depression. Yeah. And around what, 7% also
Reported enduring a traumatic brain injury. Yes.
Yeah. The final surviving World War I veteran was Frank Buckles, who had joined the Army in 1917 at the age of 16. He served near the front lines in Europe, driving motorcycles and ambulances before going on to serve in World War II. There he's taken prisoner by Japanese and spent 3 years under guard in the Philippines. And they didn't say how old he was when he passed away. That's annoying. Today, Veterans Day is an emotional reminder of those who put their lives in the line for their country. But it's also one of the most popular days for shopping. Numerous stores offering discounts for soldiers and veterans. And part of the reason it's a big day for shopping is because a lot of people with disposable income, government workers, have the day off.
Yes.
And so that's how it ends up being a big day for shopping. It's just the reality of humanity. It's not a comment on anything other than it's just the reality.
The sales are there to capture.
Yeah, to get you in there. Hey, these people are going to go do something with their time, so let's get them in our store. And Christmas is coming up. Let's get them. They'll do some Christmas shopping, and get the veterans get the first pick, type of thing. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of the first shopping day of Christmas, right? If you really want to think of it that way.
Well, I did my shopping today. So, yeah.
So, what's next? This research? I'm going to blast through it. So, the how many veterans there are research. It's just some statistics on veterans, how many veterans there are, some basic.
And this is from 2023. This is very recent research.
All right. So, it's 2000 about 2,000 200,000. Thank you. Yeah. Service measure. Transition from active duty to, I can say this, I can speak today. All right, I'm going to start this one over. About 200,000 service members transition from active service to civilian life each year. There are 18.5 million or so veterans in 2023. The estimate is about 11, just under 12 million in 2050. So the number will be going down unless something drastic happens.
35%. It'll be going down from 2023 to 2050.
Yeah. The total number of homeless veterans we were just talking about is 67,000. So I don't know, the numbers are different, but I guess maybe this is a more accurate recent number. 10.6% of all homeless veterans are 2 times as likely to become homeless than those who didn't serve in the military. In 2023, more than 1 million veterans lived in poverty. It's defined as living at or below Department of Labor and Health and Human Services poverty line. The current veteran unemployment rate is 2.8%, which actually isn't bad. That's kind of right about just a little under if there were regular employment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually pretty good. Texas has the largest veteran population, followed by California and Florida. It kind of makes sense. You're talking about the most populous states, and it's kind of surprising New York doesn't have any, but I guess as many. Maybe they're probably 4 or 5. I wouldn't doubt it, just from sheer numbers. So, do we want to go farther?
No, it just goes into it. Well, how many disabled veterans are there?
Yeah, okay.
There's an estimated of 14,873,966 disabled veterans, which is roughly 80% of the total veteran population.
Yeah, so it's the VA, and then talks about some VA benefits. As you can always know, you can always find these links if you're interested in these studies and whatnot. You can go and there's links to click on in our website, latenightLove.us, and you can kind of go through and study them yourselves. And it's just trying to wrap your head around how big of a issue that we have to deal with. We've made promises to a lot of people who turn their lives over to us, and so we have to honor that. At the same time, we honor all our other commitments. It's a tough thing. So, but we can't make these decisions properly make these decisions unless we're willing to look at data. So, and so how else can we support our veterans without going through a bunch of having to deal with politics of it? How can you as an individual help support your the veterans, the people who have served that So we've got 10 simple ways to support veterans and to hopefully help make a difference. Okay, even small gestures can make somebody's day. You never know what somebody else is experiencing. And so, it always, every little bit helps.
Yes.
Yeah. So their first suggestion would be support veterans by providing transportation. And if you don't have time, what you can provide is money to groups who do this, then provide money to groups who do this, right?
Yes.
You don't always have to be the one to spend the time. Sometimes what you have excess of is not time, is money, and it's okay. It's okay. That's an okay substitute. Do people kind of prefer to see you do it? Yes. But, you work hard, you work a lot of extra hours, you earn a promotion. Now you have this thing called disposable income, and you can use some of that to help those around you. That's, especially those people who are, just getting to the point where they can, keep their head above water, and then you take some and give those to veterans and whatnot. that means something. If you're working 60 hours a week, no one's going to expect you to donate 20 hours,
Right.
but you may be able to donate 6 hours of your paycheck. Maybe that's something you can do. It's just a substitute for time, and so they can pay for somebody else to help do it. So there's ways to help. Okay. If you have time, and you're friendly and funny and whatnot, you can visit wounded vets in a. You have to have I warn to be. You have to have the right mental frame for that, right? It's not for everybody. So let's be clear. Not all these suggestions are for everybody. Okay. So, but just sometimes just sitting and talking to somebody who doesn't generally have someone to talk to. So if you're a good conversationalist, you're a good listener. If you like to read a book and you like to read out loud when you read, go sit down with somebody at the VA hospital. And if you don't have a VA hospital near you, there's always a children's hospital or something somewhere close to you that you can spend that hour a month. You don't have to make these big, huge, grand gestures either. It can be an hour every couple months if that's what you can manage. Just, do what you can manage. Okay.
Say thank you and mean it. One of the easiest ways to support a veteran is a simple thank you. I taught my children to do this, and they were very sincere, and they were very somber little kids when they were doing this. They were very serious. They knew it was a big deal.
Well, and remember where this comes from. This comes from because when, those Vietnam era veterans, when they came home, they didn't receive a pleasant welcome, despite the fact that many of them were drafted. It's not like they wanted to be there, but yet they were treated unfairly by many of the populace. And in a sense, you can say it's understandable. Society was at a fracture point and all that. But when we got past all that, we realized how wrong it was. And so now we go out of our way to say thank you. And I suppose if there's some good out of it, all that mess, maybe we're a little more aware of the price that those young men paid.
Yes.
So fight homelessness, eviction, and foreclosure among veterans. Again, do what you can. Sometimes the best thing you do is help provide financial assistance. These are the ones where if you have it, writing a check is probably the best thing you can do for this kind of thing. Or if you can't write a check yourself, talk to those who can. That's another way to do it. Awareness. If you're good at getting media attention, go out and talk to media about it, that kind of thing. Use whatever your particular talent is.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're a handy person, you can help with household repairs or clean up or, mow the yard for your next door neighbor, that kind of thing. I don't think they have to be a veteran to do that, but, just be kind to those around you. And, maybe be a little more thoughtful if someone's a veteran, so that maybe they're having either, depression issues or physical issues. And so offering to help, or just kind of mowing the lawn one day. Oh, no, it's all right. I was mowing the lawn. I just kind of wanted to keep going. So, just go mow the lawn for him, that kind of thing. Just, just be friendly. Let's become friendlier neighbors. How about that? Okay. And again, we've talked about this already. Donate your time.
If you have a special skill or a lot of knowledge in a certain area, then and want to volunteer in this area, there's a lot of veteran organizations. Just a quick Google search will bring up many.
Yeah, and if all you can do is deliver stuff, then deliver stuff. right? You know, maybe the VFW needs someone to take a care packet to people on occasion. So go pick up the care packet and take it to people on occasion. You know, there's small things can make a huge difference. And let's not forget that. Okay. Again, volunteer your services. We just kind of talked about that. Again, spend time with the vet and take time to listen. You know, another thing, when this is one of the things we should do. The we don't. The VFW is just down the street. When they hold events and whatnot, maybe go. Maybe just attend an event at the VFW or at the local Veterans Center or whatever. You know, just attend their event. Go support them. You know, if there's a injured veterans sports day somewhere, you know, go cheer them on. I think that would be a, you know, if you want to do something to do. Okay.
And something as simple as a home cooked meal or a batch of cookies.
Yeah, providing food for veterans is the next one. And a lot of these go through their churches or the VFWs or something like that. You can kind of team up and make a bigger impact because they can connect you with who needs it the most.
Apparently, there's an organization called Feed Our Vets.
Yeah, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know, look for people who already have a wheel, and you can just help roll it. You know, kind of thing. Because what is it? Many hands make light work. So if you have a lot of people donate an hour a month, you know, if you've made a pyramid, you've moved mountains, or whatever you want to do. Visit a vet with your pet, especially if you got, you know, friendly dog kind of thing. You know, again, just kind of go spend some quality human time with people who, you know, could use some. Yeah, that's kind of a good thing to do, regardless if they're a veteran or not. But maybe just be more aware of the people in your life around you and try to offer help and assistance where you can. You know, it's part of being your best you. Okay, now talk about being your best you. That's where we go into Reddit and we find people who are sometimes not their best themselves. But we're here to help you become your best you. That's what this next part of the show is about. So, all right, Celebi, where are we starting tonight?
Relationships.
Do we always start with relationships?
Let's start with parenting.
No, I'm just asking. I didn't mean to switch. I was just curious.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, okay, because I haven't noticed. Tells you how much attention I pay. Well, remember, I do these unscripted. I don't think about the questions. It's part of the fun, and because you never know what's going to come out of my mouth. But also, sometimes you get to kind of listen to how I work through to find the actual answer to a problem that I don't have the answer to when it's first asked, which is kind of the fun for everybody. Or so I hope.
I enjoy it.
All right, so what's next?
Okay, relationships. First one. How do I, 29 female, explain to my boyfriend, 31 male, that his honest opinions are hurtful? He's 31. Shouldn't he have figured this out by now?
Well, do you want him to be dishonest?
Well, there's honesty is a two-edged sword. I mean, there's such a thing as being brutal.
Well, Dad, but she didn't say he was being brutal. She just said his honest opinions. She doesn't want to hear the truth. Now, without context, it's hard to know exactly what's going on because this could go many, many different directions, right? He could be trying to deliberately push her away because he's too much of a wimp to actually end the relationship. Or she could have issues that she doesn't want to address, and so she's just saying his honesty is being hurtful. Maybe she's just being controlling, and she's using this hurtful thing as a way to control his thoughts and what he gets to speak. Don't know, right? There's not enough context to actually have the full, an actual genuine understanding. But the question is, would you rather have them be honest or dishonest? That's the question. Now, maybe you can be honest in a more artful way. Okay, that's a different discussion, though. Hey, can you do me a favor and, I don't know, soften your honesty a little?
Really?
That's a different discussion. But he said his honest, but that's not exactly what her question was. So, but without more context, I can't tell you. There's no direct answer for that.
Okay.
But
Well, that's a pretty good answer.
But I always leave it with, would you rather him be dishonest? And maybe you should actually maybe hear him, what he's actually trying to say, instead of what you want to hear. And that could be the end of your relationship. He may be just trying to push you away and it's time to end it. Or you could not be, he could be telling you things about yourself that you just don't want to hear. And so you're, going monkey see, who knows? Humanity can go either way on that one, right? Or somewhere in between. Okay, so what's next?
My 30 male girlfriend, 30 female, begged me to go out only to ignore me for another guy. How do I handle this?
Is this one of those games where she's trying to make him jealous?
Apparently. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
She's ticked off at at him for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, because that almost seems deliberate. And why would you do that? At 30? Gosh, shouldn't you guys be beyond that at this point? Maybe she just wants to end it. Maybe she wants to end the relationship and is too wimpy to know to do it herself. I don't know. There's not enough. There's not really enough context to know. But if she's doing this playing games, trying to make you jealous, either A, she's feeling ignored and wants more of your attention, or B, she's looking for an out and doesn't want to do it, or she's manipulative. So, 2 out of those 3 aren't good and should end the relationship. The other one can be fixed, right? If she's just crying for attention, you can solve that problem, right? It's not the most artful way to cry for attention, but you can solve this problem, right? It's a solvable problem. The other 2 you can't. Okay, what's next?
Okay. My 31 female partner, 36 male, wants me to meet his ex-girlfriend. I feel insecure. How can I handle this with grace?
Well, my question is why? Is it one of these things where the circles are so tight that you're going to bump into them, so it's going to have to be done at some point? Maybe there's children involved or something, and so it's going to have to happen, even if it's just passing introduction and you never say anything again to each other, right? Maybe it's one of those things. I don't know. Maybe they actually still have a good relationship with their exes, and maybe he actually thinks you guys would get along. Who knows? We're stupid sometimes.
Why would we get along?
Well, because you both like me. You have at least something in common.
Yeah. We're going to sit around and talk about you.
Well, I didn't say it was smart. I just said, I did point out that because we're stupid. But the way to deal with it is tell him you're insecure about it and ask him why, and then you deal with that. And with the why, we'll give you the answer how you can or cannot handle it with grace. There's that one. How's that? Okay. Yeah. What's next?
My 39 female boyfriend, 36 male, keeps making petty dramas. Is it finally time to end it?
If you're asking, it is. In a sense like that. Right?
Yeah.
You'd be asking the question differently if you didn't want to. So yes, the answer is yes. Because how do I solve it? How do we get past this? You'd have asked the question differently if you wanted a different answer. You just want someone to tell you what you already know, and the answer is yes. So there you go. Sometimes relationships just sometimes run their course, right? Maybe the mistake was made 4 years ago or something, and it is what it is. Maybe you were never meant to be. Yeah. And it as soon as you realize, that it's not going to be. Makes best for everybody. All right, what's next?
Parenting.
Oh, fun stuff. Okay.
Where's the gray line between babysitting younger siblings and parentifying?
Economics would be my guess.
Yeah.
It's economics. It's called the reality of life. You know, if you could afford to have some, you know, a nanny or somebody else come in and watch the child, or grandma or what, and the ability to have somebody else come in and watch the child, and you don't, then you are parentifying. But if your older sibling is the best option you have, all things considered, then you are using the best option you have, all things considered. And quite frankly, older siblings have been taking care of younger siblings for literally hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of years, and we should not be panicked about it now. I'm just saying. It's quite common throughout the history of humanity, and we are all here.
Yes.
So let's not panic and make everything a problem simply because there is a theoretical better option. Yes, there is a theoretical better option than having an older sibling take care of their younger siblings. There are theoretically better options, but there are not necessarily practical better options. And so if that's the best practical option, then it's called raising a family, and families are raised as units. And that means everybody chips in, and that's part of chipping in. And does it kind of suck for the oldest sibling? Yes. But you know what? It also benefits them because they often become the most successful ones because they know what responsibility is and how to deal with it. You know? They're also the most neurotic ones, but well, except for the youngest. But anyway, that's a whole nother issue. All right, what's next?
Am I weird for telling my wife that I want our soon-to-be-born child to call me father?
I am your father. You can want the child to call you whatever you want. He will call you, or she will call you whatever they want. You just will. And guess what? It's going to be dada for a long time because they're not going to be able to say anything else. So just get used to it. God, some of these people just don't know what reality is, do they? Yeah. You don't get to tell them.
No.
And by the time you're too far gone, by the time it's going to matter. Now, maybe if you want to be really traditional back in the old days, you could, oh, father, can I? Yeah, but you get tired of it. Trust me. So anyway, it's one of those things that reality will solve that problem all on its own. But yes, you are weird. So that.
Yeah, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, dude, lighten up. Take the broom out of the behind. I'm just saying. Okay.
Am I wrong for flipping out on my kid's bully's dad?
Depending upon circumstances, no. I mean, how much did you flip out is the kind of the question. There's a line to cross. But no, if you didn't cross a line, a specific line, no, you probably had someone isn't parenting their kids' rights and is affecting your rights to the kids. The schools likely don't do anything because they never have. And so what else are you going to do? Will it work? Who knows? The question isn't whether that's right or wrong. It's whether it will work or not. Is the actual question. So that we shall see. If it works, then more power to you. If it doesn't, well, then now what you've got. Now where are you going to go? See, now you've left with escalation. And what are you going to hire a lawyer? Is your next bet. Yeah. Just so you don't become violent. Okay, what's next?
Does my mother want to see our newborn baby too much? What is the norm? Yeah, dude, we will move in with you. What we will do if you would let us.
Do they want to see them too much? Yes. All grandmothers want to see their they want to see them. Of course they do. It is your job to set these things called boundaries. And it's difficult, but you know what? It's the best thing for your family. And it creates a separation that your mother will actually need. And so just set the boundaries, just do them in love and compassion, and explain to her why that, we have our own lives to run. But, let her be a resource when you need some rest. She will love it.
If you could set up a schedule, that helps. So so she's not left hanging as to when she's going to see the baby next. That's going to cause a lot of anxiety. So if she knows, every Sunday they're going to come for lunch, then there you go.
Yeah, and there is no such thing as the norm, because these things called circumstances, some grandparents get to live with their grandchildren for the first couple years of their lives. Others, live across the country. Others, they get to go and babysit the child every Wednesday and Thursday afternoons before the parents get home from work, right? There's lots of different circumstances. And so just find the one that works for everybody. But it's my suggestion. It's perfectly natural for her to want to see the baby. The normal is whatever you work out. Just be mindful and actually work it out is the suggestion.
Yeah.
Just actually work it out. Okay,
now we have work questions. My boss told me to cancel my cataract surgery because the office is too busy. Is this legal?
Well, depending upon your state is the actual answer question, but probably not. And also tell them this is one of these things that's a backhanded. You're going to be less productive in the long term if you can't see. And the cataract surgery, you're going to be gone for 2-3 days most, right? Mine didn't take that long. So he's far better off to let you go have your cataract surgery than have you, bouncing around the office, having it difficult to do your work. It's counterproductive. But my suggestion would be is to look for another job, because you don't want anybody who's going to actually just sacrifice your freaking vision because he's busy.
Yeah.
So regardless, go get your dang surgery done and start looking for another job is my suggestion. Okay.
Should I wear a ring at work? I'm single.
Is there any background on this one?
She's a nurse, single. She gets hit on just constantly.
Well, it may work, but I just kind of doubt it. A part of the problem is you get a lot of nurses. You end up with a lot of people who are on pain medicines, and so they say things that they wouldn't normally say. And so I don't doubt that a lot of inappropriate nurses get said a lot of inappropriate things too that normally simply wouldn't.
Yeah,
because people are on pain medications, they're delirious, they're in pain, they all kinds of, right? And so filters go down in those kind of conditions. Try it and see if it helps, would be my suggestion. I doubt it's going to help.
When I was married and wearing a ring, there are a certain percentage of males who want a relationship with a woman who is married.
I just don't think in that circumstance that people are even going to notice. So, but try it and help. Might help. I don't know.
Do an experiment.
Yeah. Just kind of give it a whirl.
See what happens.
Put your hair in an old woman's hairdo. Wear grandma hairdos when you're at work. Try going to work with no makeup on. Just kind of, I don't know. Should you have to do all these things? No, you should not. But given the circumstances of the condition, humanity is humanity. You can try to go to some place where people aren't on as much pain medicines, and that would probably help a little. But that's sad. The whole thing is sad because you can kind of understand how it gets there, and you just kind of feel sad for her because I'm not sure there's anything that's actually going to work
No.
given the circumstances.
And you're just
It's like someone who chooses to work at a at a dive bar. You just know that because you get a bunch of drunk people, there's going to be lots of inappropriate things said, and you accept the fact that they tip well at the end of the night as compensation for it. But at least in a dive bar, they move on. It's not a career, right? At one particular bar isn't a career. They move on and can go on and up to restaurants that are more classy where they don't have to deal with that. But a nurse, oh God, where are you going to work at a nurse that you're not dealing with a bunch of people on pain medicine whose filters are gone?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The children's doctor's office, pediatrician's office, maybe. I don't know. Okay, what's next?
Why do employers care if you get paid overtime hours?
Because it costs not just the money they pay you. They have this thing called payroll tax. And so that gets, it costs a lot. That's why they care if you get overtime hours. And consistent overtime is actually a symptom of bad management or bad scheduling. Sometimes it can't be helped. Like if you're at a production and it takes 9 hours, you're not going to have 2 shifts. You're just going to pay the hour of overtime. But short of that, if you have consistently overtime, it's just a bad scheduling type thing. Yeah. Or you get these things are so seasonal that it's not worth it hiring more people that you're just going to have to lay off in 2 months because it slows back down. And so you just run your staff you've got for 12-hour days for 2 months, and then they back down to normal schedules. And they generally don't mind because you get these nice big paychecks for a couple months. Everybody knows it. You kind of agree to it when you sign up for the job. It's what happens. There's a couple months that are always flipping insanely busy. No one gets any time off, and right. But it makes up for it in December when you can take whatever time off you want. They'd actually kind of encourage it. Everything's kind of slow, and you're bored half the day even when you are there. What are we doing now? We're cleaning corners because we got nothing else to do. If you want to go home early, you can. Let me look at my bank account. Yeah, that's what happens. Oh, God, Christmas. No, I guess I'm cleaning corners today. It happens. It happens. Okay, what's next?
Why do I need to change my mission statement if I'm applying for a job in the same company?
Because you're now doing something different. Hopefully you've grown. You have a different perspective. You want to see what your growth has been. You want to see what your perspective has changed. Maybe you should have different goals now. Your goals should have evolved. Or not. Because it says, how do I need? Did it mean why did I need?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you don't. Who told you need to change it? Or if someone told you need to change it, it means you probably need to change it. Right? Someone's doing you a favor and you're looking at, so look at it and see if it matches with where you're trying to go. All right, what's next?
Well, we have our last section of questions, our sex questions.
Okay.
Grew up without learning how to show physical affection. This has left me terrified of physical intimacy, and I don't know how to get past it. Advice?
Well, the same way you get past any fear of this type, right? It's the behavior modification. Right? You go as far as you are willingly to go, and then you stop and try to get next later. And eventually you find that you're willing to learn how to, accept it. Just like a fear of heights. You start at a foot, and then you work your way up to 2, and then you work your way up to 3. And, 2 years later, you're jumping out of an airplane. Still scared pantless, but you're strong against it, and you're able to do it. And with physical intimacy, it comes with once you get past the fear, it comes with a benefit. And so eventually that benefit will help overcome that fear. But sadly, if it's been that long, it's going to take a long time for you to relearn what it is, what it means to you.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a long, difficult journey, but it should be worth it in the long run.
And perhaps some counseling might assist.
Yeah, you're going to need a counselor to develop a program of behavior modification, right?
Yeah.
You're going to need a counselor to help you through that. So, because you don't want to try to do that on your own. And at some point, you're going to need a sex counselor, would be my guess as well. And, those are different things, slightly different things. So we wish you luck. Okay, what's next?
How to stop feeling not good enough for men.
Okay, this is the easiest one. Stop worrying about for who you're being good enough for. The only person you're trying to be good enough for is you. And once you feel good enough for you, then you'll feel good enough for anybody. It's not that men that you're not feeling good enough about yourself about. You're not feeling good enough about yourself. And you're manifesting itself onto other people. It's you that's unhappy with you. And so to solve this is by working on yourself. It may be working on accepting the wonderful, bright, intelligent, hardworking, person that you are, that you're ignoring. Or maybe there's things in your life that you are doing or not doing that are wrong and you need to change, and you're not. And so you're disappointed in yourself that you haven't done that. And so you're manifesting that. So, there's two ways this can go. So, it's stop focusing on who you're trying to be good for. Just be the best you can be, and work on that every day. Be the best you every day. And in the long run, next thing you know, you will think you are good enough for anybody. Because you are. What this is telling you is you have things about yourself to work on, either whether it's your own perception of yourself, or whether it's things that you dang well know that you should be doing that you're not, or things that you're doing that you shouldn't be. Maybe you're drinking too much. Maybe you're playing too many video games. Maybe maybe you spend too much time eating bonbons and watching Married with Children. I don't know. Whatever it is. Or maybe you just have traumas in your life and you don't think of yourself as the strong, independent, smart, beautiful, funny, wonderful human being that you genuinely are. And you need to go spend some time and accept that in yourself. Those are two vastly different answers, but either one can be true. You just have to find it. Okay.
What are some other sensitive or arousal areas in men? Other than the obvious.
Well, it's actually kind of dependent on the man. There is no specific. We're all kind of different. What's arousing to one person is overstimulating to another. Bald men like their head played with. It's sensitive, apparently. I've heard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that much I know. Not that I know anything personally about it. I've been told, from discussions I've heard. Necks, but it's different. It's not the same way. Women like their necks be a little stiffer with men. Men don't get aroused the same way women do.
By those gentle fingertip touches.
No, man, those tickle. Don't do that. Again, know your partner, right? Learn your own partner. But you want to get men aroused, you could take an elbow and dig it into that sore spot in their back.
Oh, baby.
You'll have him drooling out the side of his mouth. Yeah, seriously. So it really just kind of depends.
Y'all are really very simple,
We're
aren't
really
you?
very simple. Collarbones areas, I suppose, if you kiss those, those are nice. Some men like the nipples, others don't. Areas, it's just gonna have to learn your partner. But the plus side is we're a lot simpler than women are. We don't need combinations. We've got like 2 things each. So and one of them's obvious. So well, what do you want? I only speak in generic truths. Okay, so what's next? We've got this one more.
Okay, last one. I, male, 26, couldn't orgasm during sex. Could this be because I'm addicted to porn?
No, it's because you were distracted for whatever reason. Right now, maybe you had overstimulated yourself earlier on, and so you made it difficult that particular day. But generally, things you were overstimulated or distracted. You weren't there that day. You're going through DOS motions, and when that happens, yeah, that happens.
You have to actually connect.
Yeah. Well, and it can happen even just kind of randomly out of the blue, even if it was everything was theoretically fine.
Maybe it was his first time. He's 26.
Yeah. Sometimes it happens that way, man.
Sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah.
It's okay. Orgasm.
Men are not machines.
Orgasm doesn't have to be the goal, my friend. I know as men, we're, I think, biologically programmed for orgasm to be the goal, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't. I mean, we are biologically programmed, so let's, it is what that is what that is. But you don't have to get disappointed if it doesn't, because the whole point of is to have spent some emotionally, physically bonding time with the person you hopefully like and want to spend a lot of time with. Maybe this was a one night stand and you're just tired of those. Maybe you're tired of empty, emotionless sex. Maybe it's actually not addicted to porn. Maybe it's you're addicted to meaninglessness, or you're not interested in meaninglessness. Probably
There you go.
better
Yeah.
way to say it.
You're losing interest.
Yeah.
It's not fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The base fulfillment is no longer fulfilling. You want something deeper, something more. And your body realized that, your mind realized that, your subconscious realized that, whatever it was at that moment. Or your partner wasn't very good. And, there's always that happens to men too. If your partner is disinterested, you can become disinterested. And next thing you know, you've got a night of disinterest. And oh boy, isn't that just fun? But we've all had it. If you've had any type of, relationships and that kind of thing.
You've been out there a while, yeah.
It happens. It will happen. If it hasn't happened to you, then, congratulations. If you haven't had to phone one in, then, congratulations.
Phone one.
I don't know. I'm making stuff up here. All right. You can find us at latenightLove.us. You can always send us a letter at love@latenightLove.us. And from me and Lovey, we want to wish you a happy Veterans Day. And please remember to love everybody. And good night.
Good night.